Hello everyone and welcome to what I think is going to be a super exciting video. Today I am ripping everything off my desk and I am going to redo all of the cabling because basically check that out. This is what I'm dealing with. All of that needs to be sorted. That's not even half the issue. There's loads of cabling behind there and everything. I'm going to rip everything out of the desk. Clean it all up, vacuum behind the desk, even wash the wall because it's all dusty and horrible back there. And I'm going to incorporate these new Duronic surge protectors that I've got, 12 sockets each, into the setup, and then this will probably be my desk setup project complete. So today is going to be an interesting day because I'm on a little bit of a time schedule. I've got to be in work by about 6:30. So my plan is, it is now 12:23, so the plan is to have the network portion of the desk set up by 2 o'clock. So then I can start uploading my gaming YouTube video that you guys have already seen, the gaming stock video. Because that'll give me 8 hours to get it uploaded by 10 PM, leave an hour for processing, should be up by 11 PM. I didn't upload it last night because there were some issues, blah blah blah, I won't go into details. But basically, the desk is going to be set up in two halves. Those halves are dictated by these surge protectors. So one half is going to be network, as you can see, written here in red, and the other one is just PC, which basically means everything else. So the Mac Pro, the monitors, the speakers, everything that does not need to be on 24 hours. So in theory, this one gets turned on and off every single time I use the machine. And this, because my Mac Pro, as you guys should know by now, does not stay on 24 hours anymore because I got a Mac Mini server to do that for me. And this is the network surge protector that everything stays on, things like the Mac Minis, the gigabit switch, the hard drives associated with them, the router, camera chargers so that I can still charge batteries even if I'm not using the computer. Little things like that. There are a couple of little things that'll be on the network one. So that's why I've got the red and green, because I'll know which one to turn on and off. So the plan is to have everything ripped off of the desk and the network portion all set up and wired up by 2 o'clock, 2:30 at the latest, and then I can leisurely set up the triple monitor setup and that throughout the rest of the day. So that I don't have to use my Mac Pro to access the server, what I've done is I've queued up everything ready on the server on my MacBook Pro so that I can use this to tell the server to upload my video. But yeah, we're going to be without internet and stuff for a little while I redo the whole desk. It's so exciting, guys. Between now and 2:30 is not a lot of time to do all of that, but I hope I can get it done. So I don't think I'll be documenting a lot of things in the early stages, but I'll be documenting a few things later. Also, a couple of notes that I want to get out of the way before we get started. There are 24 sockets here, guys. This is a lot of sockets. And let me quickly talk about power. Of course, these are 13 amp plugs. So the maximum load on these cannot exceed 13 amps if everything's in a good, if we're in a good scenario. And by that I mean the actual juice coming out of the wall in the first place, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So you've got 12 sockets, which is a lot of sockets, 13 amps total. 13 amps can roughly be translated as about 3,120 watts if you work it out exact. I never go over 3K even when I'm fully loading 13 amp. I never really go over 2.5K just in case. It's always good to give you a bit of headroom. Now, a lot of people panic when they see a lot of cables and stuff that takes up a lot of sockets with something like a computer setup. But all of these things are quite low powered devices. The Mac Pro is the only thing on this setup that sucks a significant amount of power, and that's literally only during boot up and peak times in, you know, performance. Other than that, it can idle at, you know, just 100 watts or 200 watts or whatever it idles at, I can't even remember, but it's probably even lower than that. So it's very hard to load these up. But something that you don't want to do is, because a lot of electronics peak when they start up, something you don't want to do is turn them all on at once. So splitting them across two surge protectors rather than the daisy chain that I've got going on now is a much better idea. It just works so much better. It's going to be great. I have a double socket behind the bin there, and they'll each be on a socket, so they're both switched, because as you know, in the UK we have switches on our sockets, so that makes life really easy. These aren't particularly special or anything, they're just surge protectors. I should really have a UPS set up for the network one, I just don't have the money right now. That would be really cool if I could do that. Also, this house has been wired with a 32 amp ring main for the upstairs sockets and a 32 amp ring main for the downstairs sockets, meaning, I believe that's how it's been wired anyway, meaning that there are 32 amps dedicated to this floor alone. And the awesome thing is, I'm the only one that really uses any power. The shower is the most power hungry thing on this floor, but of course that has its own direct feed to the consumer box. So I'm the only one using significant power from this kind of stuff, because other than that, it's just things like lamps, alarm clocks, phone chargers, that kind of thing in the other parts of the upstairs. Even downstairs doesn't consume that much electricity, you know, but of course down there you've got all the appliances, things like fridges and microwaves and kettles and toasters and all that stuff. But anyway, enough rambling about power. The basic thing is, even though it's very scary having 24 sockets running off of essentially one socket, you know, it's a double socket, but, you know, one socket box, it all looks a bit dodgy, but as long as you keep an eye on the amount of power that you're drawing, it's not a big deal. And this setup, even though it's quite big, it will nowhere near draw enough energy to bring down a 13 amp socket, you know, to a state of tripping or any sort of hazardous fire scenarios or anything like that. It's amazing in this country what you can run off a 230, 240 volt 13 amp socket. I have ran so much off of one of these in sort of gigging scenarios and stuff. But anyway, before you all click off the video because I'm rambling and it's getting boring, it's time to shut down the Mac Pro and get things going. Because I haven't got my iTunes library because everything will be ripped off the desk, I am actually playing a few cassettes just to keep me entertained. And another thing I'd like to mention, guys, I picked the best time to empty my gaming cupboard. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. There's all of the gaming stuff. I've actually put a couple of things back in there for now. Hopefully it won't get in the way too much. I've managed to stack it up quite tall. I can't really put anything on the bed because that's all the Quicksilver parts and that's all my washing. So I'm basically limited to this floor space here to put all the stuff from the desk, but hopefully it'll be okay. And yeah, I can kind of see a little bit of a disaster coming, but we should be all right. So in the next clip, you will see a massive, massive change to the setup. And boom, at 12:51. The desk is totally empty apart from the router because, well, I'm going to leave the internet going for a little while, even though it doesn't appear to be going for some reason. But anyway, yeah, that was fairly strenuous stuff. There's the monitor, center monitor, sound system and whatnot. I've got various stuff scattered about the place. It's actually not as half bad as I was thinking. I've got a nice lot of room to do cables and stuff here, so that's really cool. Just to clarify, guys, this video does not include sorting out those shelves or that shelf. Apart from underneath, it includes sorting out underneath because cables go under there. But it does not include these shelves. They will be a separate thing because quite frankly, they're totally fine. That's just a lot of junk on there, on top of my printer. So yeah, but this is the primary goal, as you guys can see. Pretty horrendous, and the wall needs a good clean back there. Everything needs a good hoover out. I've turned off some of the stuff, but the network stuff is still going. But like I said, for some reason I've yanked something and there is no internet at the moment. But I'm going to start unplugging. As you can see, I've unplugged the back of the Mac Pro. The Mac Pro will be coming off and whatnot eventually, so that I can sort out all underneath it and everything, because it's all got a bit insane under there. But yeah, I'm going to tackle this lot first. So guys, progress is going really well. It's 3 minutes past 1. So it's definitely not that long since the last update. And just as a little warning, guys, if you you know, easily feel queasy by dust and, you know, old bits of food and stuff like that, then I wouldn't recommend watching some of these parts of this video. But the bottom line is, you know, the amount of hours that someone like me spends at a desk, it's bound to get some dust build-up and whatnot, obviously, and this is years worth. I can't remember the last time I did this. I think probably around 2011 I did this last, the total rip out. Maybe 2012, I'm not sure. But yeah, if we just look down here, as you guys can see, there's quite colossal amounts of dust under there. which is of course horrible, and this is definitely the type of project that I'm really glad I'm tackling now. So in terms of cabling, most of it's out, but what I'm going to do before I pull any more out, because all it's going to do is pull out loads of dust, I'm going to get the hoover in between all the cables for now and hoover out the big bits. As you can see, there's loads of cabling out here. It all needs cleaning up and whatnot. The majority of this remaining cabling is KVM related for the 2 KVMs that are on this setup. And also a couple of other bits and bobs, network stuff and whatnot. I don't even know what's there really. But all of the extension leads are ripped out. Here they are. I'm definitely having a massive upgrade. All the network stuff was on this 4-way. So I had router, power line adapter, Mac Mini and a gigabit switch all on this, and then this was where all the other stuff was attached to. Like this was attached into that, and this was attached into that, and it was all a big mess. So yeah, definitely a huge upgrade. And there is only 16 sockets here, so I will definitely not be using anywhere near all of the sockets on the 2 new surge protectors. So that'll be all nice and safe. Also, I'm going to tie them all down, guys. I didn't like tying before because my setup was always changing, but now my setup will be the same, so I'm going to use cable ties and tie everything back neatly. One slight annoyance that I've got is I do have 3 or 4 cables running through the setup that are nothing to do with the setup. They are to do with the projector. That is a big fat VGA cable, a composite cable, an S-video cable, and a HDMI cable. The only annoying thing is, the only one that's still in use is a HDMI, but I do not have the time at the moment to rip out all of this other stuff from my room just to get a few video cables out of there. And of course, as you can see, the projector setup is pretty much hanging by a thread at the moment because it's not set up properly. But anyway, guys, yeah, I'm getting there. So guys, it is 8 minutes past 2, so I'm a little bit behind, but I did indeed have lunch and stuff. As you can see, I've given the wall a good clean. It's not perfect, but I've scrubbed and it's looking a million times better than it did, which is really cool. Also, I made the decision to pull out all the home theatre cables. Here they are. I'm going to leave them in a bundle behind that mirror over there, out of the way for now until I get a chance to unroot them from under the wardrobe and under that sofa. But for now, as you guys can see, I have very neatly got a HDMI lead and 2 speaker cables for the rear surround speakers, all cable tied back neatly. And the cable ties hold it under the skirting on this side, and then I've just got a tiny few squares of stage tape holding them that side. So the home theatre cables are now no longer interfering with my desk setup, which is really cool. And the desk setup cables aren't going to be crazy neat. They're going to be hopefully a lot neater than they were. But at least the home theatre cables are out the way for now. So the plan is to give this part another quick hoover, make sure all the dust is up, because I can still see some dust, and then get the towers sitting in the back, ready to get all the sockets together and start wiring up the network stuff. So guys, here we have the basic power setup. As you can see, they're both powered on because I was just testing them out. And the cables actually fit really nicely over to the socket. So as you can see, this red one will always be staying on, this green one will be going off. We'll turn them both off for now. I was only testing them. There is the phone socket right there for the phone cable that is dangling out this end. Obviously it's not staying like that. And that is the cable run. Sorry about the noise, guys, there's hoovering going on next door. That is the cable run for all the power and stuff. So enjoy this setup while it looks this neat. Next time you see it, there's going to be network cables all over the place. So we now have internet back up and running, guys. I am just in the process of wiring up the server shelf, as you guys can see, with the gigabit switch and the 2 Mac Minis and the router and stuff. This will be used as just a modem very soon. I'll be disabling Wi-Fi on it altogether and putting a very good running an Ethernet cable around from the switch and putting a really nice Wi-Fi wireless N router over on the corner of the desk there, so that it blasts around the house a little bit more. This Netgear is really showing its age now, but it's still decent as a modem for what it is, you know. And we get really slow internet anyway, so it makes no difference. Everything's wired up into the switch. We've got the gigabit plug there, the power line adapter. We got the modem there. We got G4 and Intel. As you can see, the Intel Mini is powered up because it auto powers up after power failure. and we are going down to just one external drive because I'll be using this 750 as backup for the studio. I've got plans for the studio Mac, lots of different plans, so yeah, we're down to a single drive, which is cool. I just don't know which transformer belongs to that drive, but it's a Firewire 800 drive, so I've got a 400 cable in the back of the Mac Mini and an 800 here, so just in the process of wiring all this up now, guys. But as you can see by the LEDs and everything, we now have internet, so yeah, once I've finished fiddling around with this shelf, I'll set my video to upload. It is currently 2:39, so a little bit behind schedule, but I wasn't banking on having to deal with the home theatre cables or quite as much stuff that I've had to deal with. So guys, that is the basic gist of the network setup. We have the G4 Mac Mini, the Intel Mac Mini, gigabit switch, modem router that is just going to be a modem very soon, Mac Mini power supplies out in the open to keep nice and cool because they're on 24 hours a day, and also the 2TB Western Digital external hard drive, which is general network storage. And then of course we have all of that plugged into the red labelled surge protector. And yep, it's not the neatest thing in the world, but my god, it's a lot neater than it was before. So that, bar a couple of things, which is the Ethernet cable for the Mac Pro and also a camera charger power cable, that is literally all of the cabling for networking. Granted, it's a lot less cables than for my triple monitor main computer setup, which is going to add an awful lot of cables under here, but I think for this kind of setup, with two computers and stuff on it at the moment, I think this is looking good. I'm pleased with this. So, all this crap that came off the top of the printer is now on the desk, but I now need to move on to actually putting the monitors and stuff back on the desk after giving them a clean and stuff. So, yeah, it is now 14:52, so I have got about 3 hours, I can't really work it out. But one thing I need to do before continuing is to start uploading tonight's video, which may indeed be late arriving, unfortunately. But this had to be done. And wow, this doesn't want to focus. So guys, I'm just having a little rest after putting the monitors back. I need to raise the height of the two outer Dells. And as you may or may not have noticed, I have indeed got my Dell U2412M as the center monitor instead of the BenQ. This is for a few different reasons. I've put the BenQ in the studio because it has a 16:9 aspect ratio, and so does the monitor up the studio. And this one has a 16:10, which gives me 3 16:10 monitors, so all the aspect ratios are the same. Also, I had a few requests to do the swap, so I thought I might as well take the chance and do the swap. And yeah, just a few different things really. I thought I'd give it a go. There's no harm in trying. I mean, the BenQ monitor is an absolutely amazing monitor, but so is this Dell, and it might be nice to have the same aspect ratios both upstairs and downstairs. It'll make life a lot easier, you know, between the two monitors upstairs and the 3 down here. So I'll see how it goes for now. I love this monitor in the studio. It just works out great. The resolution is perfect for logic. I love it. But hopefully the BenQ will be good up there as well. That's an excellent monitor. But, you know, it's all about trial and error, and I am standing absolutely still. So I'm very curious as to why the camera is just going out of focus on its own. But there we are. Nothing can be helped. I better give the lens a wipe. So to people that criticise my cable management, they're often people that don't realise how much extra cabling's involved when you run such complicated setups. Now this setup is a lot simpler than setups that I've run in the past, even though there's an additional monitor. But KVMs require double the amount of wiring, or pretty much triple the amount of wiring, because you've got to go to the switch and 2 times from the switch out to the computers. So it causes a lot of excess cable. Now something really clever that I've done for this setup is I have one of the stems is very short coming from the KVM. So this will be the one that goes to the Mac Pro. This is also master, so when it boots up, this is the one that it reads from. There is another long one. The second one is long, so that is going to be coiled up underneath because I do not have a System 2. I'm only setting it up for convenience and for testing purposes. And I'll be using VGA to DVI for things that do not have DVI outputs. So this is long enough to reach to the Mac Pro, which is just around the corner there. And as you can see, I've already got the HDMI coming from one of the monitors and the VGA coming from another monitor. I have to use VGA because of the graphics card that I have, guys. Sorry, the lens is really greasy. I'm really sorry about this, guys. But anyway, yeah, so all of this can be bundled up underneath the printer here, out of the way, so that all that cabling isn't down there. And as you can see, considering I've set up all of the monitors and the speakers, which is the bulk of the system, it's looking very good. So I'm going to get this KVM all hidden, and we're actually nearly there, surprisingly, guys. I don't know if you guys noticed at the start I had an N64 attached to the setup, and it was just it wasn't plugged in or anything. It was literally just sitting there because I'm having a change from the N64. I will indeed be I'm having a change from the GameCube that's been sitting there for a while, sorry. I will indeed be using this with an N64. This is the composite to VGA adapter. Now I don't have all the required audio cables because I was using them for something else, and they're not currently with me. So I do have more audio cables to run, but it'll only be a single cable going from there to there. Similarly to what I've done with the KVM underneath the printer shelf, I'm going to be housing this VGA switch, the composite to VGA converter rather, underneath this shelf, where I've got another couple of cable bunches, because the N64 will be going there and it won't add to any cabling there. I've already got a VGA. That's what that single black cable is there going back there. That's a VGA connection. So yeah, this is rather exciting. So guys, we are pretty much done. The Mac Pro is all plugged back in, as you can see. All of this horrendous cabling is home theatre related, so I'll sort it in a second. But the Mac Pro is all plugged back in. We have the 2 camera chargers and the 3TB external hard drive, which is Time Machine for the Mac Pro. That's soon going to turn into my off-site backup, by the way, guys. I've got a new external that I'm planning on buying for the Hackintosh, because that's going to have more internal storage. And all of my drive setups are pretty much going to be changing. But yeah, everything's wired up, mostly, apart from the LED lighting and a couple of other things, whatever I'm forgetting. Now we've got a couple of scenarios here, guys. Scenario number 1 is the VGA cable attaching to here. I can't hide it behind the speaker because it's not long enough, so I need to order a longer VGA cable. I also wouldn't mind, sorry, that's a HDMI cable for that monitor, HDMI to DVI. Focus today, anytime. But yeah, this is the VGA cable that's connecting, and it's stuck under something at the moment, so I'll sort that out. It's very hard to keep everything, you know, organised and stuff when you're doing this, but I've done a much better job, as you can see. All the cables that are crisscrossing there are basically because they're not long enough to hide behind that column or long enough to hide behind this column, which is where most of them are hiding, as you can see, loads hiding back there. And it's a lot of money to extend cables, and obviously it's more cables. You know, I could probably hide all of those dangling cables for about £30, but at the moment I just don't think it's worth it. As you can see, everything is looking much, much tidier, and I haven't even finished arranging everything yet. So what I'm going to do is power everything on and see if it works. I'm actually going to unplug that for now because I've got so many things plugged into the green extension. I'm not sure if it's going to trip out the electric, because that used to happen with my old setup. So if we turn that on, you can see that that has nicely powered on down there. I unplugged the Mac Pro just because that's an extra bit of load. I don't think it's going to trip in and out. I just wanted to be careful for my first run. So let's plug in the Mac Pro, and what we'll do live on camera is press the power button to see if everything powers up. So here we have it, all 3 monitors are powered up. The center one is blue because it's currently reading from VGA, and the other 2 have nothing on them because it is the Mac Pro, obviously, and it's booting up. So oh man, I'm very, very tired after doing this. Oh, by the way, time check, guys. It is 11 minutes past 4, so I have been doing this for quite some time, to say the least. And the room is an absolute tip. But I'm getting there. I am getting there. So there we have it. There's those 2 on. I need to suss this center one out. We'll get that one going up now. So guys, of course we've got no sound yet, but as you can see, the N64 is indeed working on the center monitor. Now there is something drastically wrong with the picture compared to when I used the GameCube. So I need to go into the settings of the VGA adapter and find out what's going on. There's a lot of settings in it, and of course I'd prefer to play in 4:3 on the N64 as well. But as you can see, it's in 16:9. It's not stretching it to fill the 16:10 aspect ratio, so that's cool. It does look kind of alright-ish, but you know, it's definitely playable, but it can look a lot better. It's pretty blocky for some reason. It's probably just something to do with the resolution, I'm not too sure. But then again, running N64 on high definition panels is kind of sucky anyway, but you can get it looking a lot better than this. So my one-handed playing isn't working too bad, but this is only the first track of Hot Wheels Turbo Racer, which happens to be an awesome game, by the way, guys. I used to play this when I was a kid on the PlayStation, because we had it for the PlayStation. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that, and everything is sorted. It's working with my center monitor on my Mac, and everything is going really well. So I've forgotten to attach the microphone, so I'm going to do that now, and a couple of finishing touches, and then we'll take a look at the setup overall after we're done. Well guys, this is rather cool. I've attached my microphone pole to the back of this monitor, just on the clamp there, as you can see, and it reaches a very nice position to do voiceovers and streaming and everything I need to use a mic for, you know, Skype or whatever. And it's not as obstructive as you may think. When I had the microphone mounted over here, I had the bar going totally across this screen. But now when I look at the monitors, it's literally just coming down from the top, which is really nice and much less obstructive, as you can probably tell from the view on the camera here. So I'm very pleased with that, and I'm glad I discovered that possibility, which is really cool. That's always the awesome thing about sorry about my text messages, guys. That's always the awesome thing about ripping apart the desk setup. You discover new things, which is very, very cool. The only slight snag I have is when the mic stand is moved, it can slightly move the monitor, so I need to get an Allen key and tighten the monitor stand a little more. But of course, that's just a tiny adjustment that I need to make. And when I'm done with the mic, I simply shove it behind, and it's out of the way. It's a weird triangle at the top, but apart from that, it's pretty good. So yeah, I like it. And of course, you could flatten it out if you wanted to get rid of that big bit of metal hanging there. But you know, it's pretty cool to leave it hanging. You could even sort of leave it hanging, say, here, and it actually looks pretty cool hanging there. As in, it looks, yeah, that looks pretty mint, guys, actually, I've got to say. It may look a bit bizarre to you, but whatever. Okay, so before I wrap up the video, I've got one very important thing left to do, and it's probably one of my most hated jobs, and that is the LED lighting that goes behind the monitors. I basically just prop it up and hope for the best. So I'm going to give that a go, and then we'll take a final look at everything, and that'll be that. Well, that is me done, folks. I am back up and running with the desk perfectly laid out, just how I like it. And I guess you'll agree, hope you'll agree, that this is the best setup that I've ever had in terms of my desk setup in my bedroom. LEDs are all up and running. You can faintly see them on the wall there, but of course it's light outside, and I've got a softbox back here to light up the situation. All of the cabling is done, and this is the result. If we take a look underneath my desk, we have a much, much cleaner setup. Now, all of those cables going across, like I've mentioned, are all because of length issues, because it's quite a big travel to the Mac Pro, but it's a lot of money to keep buying cable extenders, and I don't think I'm going to do it. What I will do, though, is rectify all of the cables that I can see from here, which is that one there, so I'll be getting a longer HDMI to DVI, and also that microphone cable could be easily hidden. That VGA cable there, which I believe is stuck under something, but I haven't been able to find out what yet. It's all tangled up with the network stuff. It's impossible to keep everything untangled, even when you're putting all this stuff back. If you're wondering where the speaker control and KVM control is, it is here. I did speak about mounting them on the side of the desk, but it's more hassle than it's worth. Everything is absolutely fine right there. Same goes for the gigabit switch. So if we come down, sorry about all the noise in the background, guys. That's me getting off and on my chair. Come on, focus. My lens is very dirty, guys. I need to get lens wipes ASAP. I'm so sorry about the focus in this video. I'm actually going to order some pretty much straight away. But anyway, guys, that is my setup. I hope you like it. And it is now, let's take a look, 16:57, and I've been very gradually chilled going about my day-to-day routine for the last half an hour or so. So yeah, really happy with that. There isn't too much mess in here considering the gaming stuff is what it is, and all I got to do is sort through all this stuff. And then we're good to go, guys. So I'm very, very pleased with everything. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is probably it for my ultimate desk setup project. It's been an awesome one. Huge thank you for the massive support along the way. We've really, really improved things. If we take a look at the setup, how it used to be, and now take a look at how it is now, there is a colossal difference. It just looks and works so much better. In terms of the center monitor decision, don't know if it's the right decision yet. You know, people say, oh, Tom, there's a massive picture quality between the BenQ and the Dell. There really isn't, guys. There really, really isn't a colossal difference. It's literally just an aspect ratio and resolution difference. Of course, colours are a little bit more accurate on this monitor, so it is probably better to have it down here. But of course, I need to take a look at the studio situation as well to make sure I've made the right decision, because I do use the USB hub on this monitor in the studio, so I'll need to replace that with something in the studio, something else with a USB hub, or just get a USB hub. But anyway, rambling aside, guys, as you can see, there is now space for my feet under the desk. Everything is looking way better. When you sit here, you can barely see any cables. It's all fantastic. So, expect to see setup updates up the studio. I've got a few plans up there to go with the new monitor. And also, the Hackintosh is the next big project. The Hackintosh is sitting right there. Well, the case that the Hackintosh is going to be going into. I can barely talk right now for some reason, guys, so I'm going to end the video here. Massive thank you once more for watching, and I'll see you next time.